I'm recording.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Woo. Okay. Okay. All right.
That is
Well,
so not funny, but it is so funny at the
hey,
same time. It's
Oh my God.
well, we were just talking, and normally any technical issues are my fault. So
Well, we're gonna blame you for this one anyway. So just so you know.
no, that's not fair at
Yeah, because
all.
we didn't get back on until you logged off and logged back in.
I feel
Just got
like
you there.
facts aren't relevant in this discussion. So there you go.
I
Okay,
logged out
that's
like
fine.
3 times,
I
So
know.
this is
All right.
definitely.
Fine. It was my fault. Okay, well,
Guys,
wonderful.
thank you so much for being so patient with me. I
No.
actually worked last night, and I actually didn't get off until this morning. So I'm
Oh, wow.
literally fresh off of work. So I'm just.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
All
my
right.
apologies.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you so much
Yes.
for
Thank
No,
sitting
you.
down
thank
with
you
us.
so much.
Yes.
I
Thank
didn't
you
think
so much.
it would take so long, but yeah, it was a long night.
A long night shooting? I've never heard of that before. We always got out on
Oh,
time.
I know, right?
And
And as soon as it's so crazy because as soon as you get there, someone says, "Oh, it's going to be a short night," and that's when you know
They
it's
jinx
going to
it.
be
I
the
know.
longest
You're like,
Yeah.
damn it, Jerry.
ever. You want to
You've
come in and
ruined
be
it.
like, "Man, we're going to be here forever," and then you're like, "Yes, it's going to be short."
Exactly. Awesome. Well, Alima, am I pronouncing that
Yes,
correctly?
yes.
Alima.
Fantastic. I'm Will, and these are my awesome co-hosts, Kate and Kalissa.
Nice to
Hey,
meet you
nice to meet you.
guys.
Nice to meet you.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's dive in. We've
Let's
had
do it.
enough preamble, I think, for all of this.
Let's make it happen.
Yes. Okay. So, Alima, how did you get into stunt performing?
That's such a interesting question because if you ask anyone, everyone's answer will be completely different. So it's really kind of cool, to meet different people and see how they got in. Mine is kind of special, to be honest with you. So I used to play volleyball. I was doing like the AVP qualifiers and all that stuff around California. And in 2012, something happened with the league. I don't remember the exact either it was a new owner or something. Anyway, my partners left. They went to play overseas. And I happened to be training Quentin Tarantino at the time.
Oh,
And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And he was kind of sponsoring me through volleyball. Like he would be training me and I would use that money for volleyball. So he said to me one day, he's like, Alima, why don't you come with me to Louisiana while I film Django? And
Oh,
he's
wow.
like, I'll put you up in a house, I'll give you a car. He goes, I'll even give you a bike. He's like, I'll put you up in the French Quarter. I mean, it was a dream come true, like
Oh, wow.
living in
that
the
sounds
French Quarter
incredible.
for 4 months, right? With your
Yeah.
own house and everything. So so he just wanted me to be on set with him and just make sure that he was healthy.
Mhm.
And our plan was to train every weekend and, because just keep him on a healthy cycle.
Mhm.
Well, that didn't quite happen.
Okay.
I did see him every day on set and we did hang out on the weekends. We didn't quite train as much as we wanted to. And we were only supposed to be there for 4 months, but he kept rewriting the end of the script. So we ended up staying there for like 7 months.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so the last 2 months that we were there, I actually went up to Quentin and I was like, Q, I can do stunts. He goes, yes, you can. So he's like, go meet that stunt coordinator over there. That stunt coordinator happened to be Jeff Dashnall, who is one of the biggest stunt coordinators out. And so I went to Jeff Dashnall. He introduced me and I started meeting the stunt team. And I actually started training with some of the stunt team there. And I actually became really good friends with them. So right before we had like a week or two left, and one of the guys I was training with, he's like, Alima, go meet this coordinator. He's having a meet and greet. And I'm like, okay, I'll go meet the coordinator. No big deal. Mind you, I don't have a resume. I have nothing. He's like, tell him Nito sent you. So that was the other stunt guy that's also now stunt coordinator's name who sent me to meet Jeff Galpin. So this is a really funny story. And it's almost like, one of those jokes where they say, well, there's a black man, white woman kind of situation. So I hope that's not, too over the top, but this is actually what happened. So I'm waiting in line and I walk into this room and there's a black man, a white man, and a white woman sitting on a couch. And it just so happens that the white man in front of me, his name is Jeff Galpin. So I walk in and I go, hey, Mr. Galpin, my name's Alima. Nito wanted me to come and introduce myself to you. And the black guy goes, I don't know who the crap Nito is. And then the white woman goes, well, I don't really care who Nito is. She'll be good in this part. And he goes, no, 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 no. Let's put her in this part. And then Jeff Galpin goes, welcome to the butler.
Oh,
And
okay.
Whoa.
So I literally walked in just for what I thought was just to meet the coordinator. It happened to be an actual interview with Lee Daniels,
Oh my
Jeff
God.
Galpin,
Gotcha.
and his producer.
That's
who the three
incredible.
people were
All
in the room.
right.
And
Wow.
so that's, I said, so, sir, I don't have a headshot or resume. I say that to Jeff Galpin. And Lee Daniels goes, screw your headshot and resume. Go take a picture of your license, put your sizes on the back of it, and send it to and give it to my assistant. And I was like,
Wow.
okay. So I ran to like a FedEx Kinko's, made a copy of my license, put my sizes on there, ran back in, gave it to Mr. Daniels, and that's how I literally booked
Oh, wow.
my first movie.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's so cool to just think you're going to just shake hands with someone and be
Yeah.
like, I hope we get to talk again one day. And they're just like, you
Absolutely.
better be on set in a week. So
Yeah, no,
You're
it was-
hired.
It was really crazy because Quentin Tarantino got me into stunts. That's how I literally got into stunts. And then, as you guys know, it's all about referrals in this business, and
Yeah.
it's all
Mhm.
about someone putting your name in for a job. So the fact that Nito actually referred me, and Nito and Jeff Galpin are really good friends. So the fact that I even walked in and said Nito's name, he knew that I, obviously was sent by someone he respected.
Right.
So that also opened the door for me, right?
That's
and then it
awesome.
just so happened that I had the right look
Mhm.
that the director and the producers were looking for a particular movie. So everything just really kind of aligned for me to get into stunts. And that's literally how I got into stunts. But if it wasn't for Quentin introducing me to the coordinator and me training with some of the stunt players,
Right.
and then them feeling confident enough to refer me to go meet an actual coordinator. And I'm sure Nito knew that he was looking for people for the film, but he
Mhm.
didn't tell me that. He was like, yeah,
Right.
just go meet him. Just go say hi. Just tell him that Nito sent you.
Right.
And so, yeah, so everything kind of aligned for me to get into stunts. And that's the thing about life. It's like you have opportunities, but are you ready for them when they come?
Right.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people have different opportunities, but it's just a matter of being ready at that moment.
Right. No, that is fascinating.
Yeah,
To
really.
just how all that just kind of stars aligning and there you go. So
Absolutely.
well, then how did a trip to New Orleans turn in a trip to Beacon Hills and Teen Wolf?
So once I started training for stunts, I realized that because of my height and size and the way that I looked, that, I needed to learn everything. Because I started getting calls really quickly because there wasn't anyone in stunts that at that time that really looked like me, 5'10", African American and Cherokee Indian, like just I can kind of play different ethnicities, all that kind of stuff. So I started getting thrown into a lot of things really quickly. So one of those jobs was a motorcycle job. So it's really interesting. When I first got into stunts, I did not know how to ride motorcycles. So I decided to learn. And as soon as I got my motorcycle license, I actually got called for this job. And it was really interesting because I thought didn't know anything about stunts. I thought it was going to be a super easy job. Of course, this coordinator knows I'm just now starting out, just get my motorcycle license. And I've been training with some of the best. Don't get me wrong. Like, I really took this to heart because at the same time, I was also booked on another film, The Purge 2, as one of the dirt biking ghouls. And I was going to be riding a 252 stroke while all the other guys are going to be riding a 254 stroke. And I know you guys might not know too much about motorcycles, but a two-stroke is the gnarliest of them all. And so I'm the only female just getting my motorcycle license. And now I'm having to do stunts with guys who've been doing stunts forever. And they're giving me the gnarliest bike out of the bunch.
Gotcha.
So I started training no matter what. Like I had some of the best trainers in the business, some of my mentors still to this day. And so I got this call for Beacon Hill, and I was supposed to just be riding to a stop. I think it was to a mark. So I called my one of my mentors and I was like, "Hey, Horace, I know you know the coordinator. I can't think of his name at this very
Gary
moment.
Stearns, maybe.
No, it was a
Because we had
younger,
multiple. Yeah,
yeah, it was a younger guy, and I could look it up, but I just don't know it offhand.
no problem.
And he was like, "I'll meet you on set," because I was nervous. And now normally other stunt people can't just come to sets and just kind of hang out and chill all day.
Right.
But Horace, my mentor, one of the top stuntmen in the industry. He used to be the president of one of ISA, which is a men's stunt group, very well known for bikes. So the coordinator and knew the coordinator. So the coordinator was absolutely okay with Horace coming to set just to make sure I was okay, because what it turned into was me riding this 1000cc Triumph motorcycle in the dirt on the canyons in California, coming to a stop at the edge of a cliff
Oh my
with
God.
the stunt guy on my bike, right with camera being right in front of the cliff. So A, I could go over the cliff. B, I could break the camera, which was way more important than me going over the cliff, by the way. And C, I have a stunt guy on my bike that I'm having to slide to a mark at the edge of a
Wow.
cliff. Now I'm not just got my motorcycle license, right? So it was enough to pucker up your butthole. So
No kidding. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so that was me doubling on that show. One of the young ladies, she was riding a motorcycle, and so that was the stunt. I had to slide to the edge of a cliff, and hit my mark with the stunt guy on my bike. And it was just, it was just challenging, because the thing about stunts is they're always challenging. Like even the most simplest stunt, they make into sometimes the most challenging stunt, because that's why we're there in the first place, right? Because if it was so simple, then why can't the actors do it? So, they always kind of make it into something that's, okay, yeah, let's not have the actors do that. Let's bring in the stunt person and have them do it. So yeah, that was kind of how I got called. They needed someone to double the young lady on the show who could ride motorcycles. And I just happened to just get in the industry and match, her look and her size and her shape. And I could ride a motorcycle. So that's how I got called.
That's
Wow.
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Just
Yeah.
again, stars aligning. I got a thing and they need a thing. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what was
That's
so cool
awesome.
is that I could call my coordinator, I'm sorry, my friend, my mentor, to actually be there for me. And
Yeah.
so in the beginning of my career, because I was getting a lot of more challenging things, because they needed someone that looked like me that could do some of these things. So they're like, okay, let's throw her in there. And they realized at that time that, coming from being an athlete, my discipline, like just how athletes are kind of made up, we kind of transition very easy into the stunt industry, because of the discipline and just how we're able to take orders and produce what you need from us at that same time. Sometimes we're given things that we have to be able to problem solve quickly. And a lot of times that's what happens with athletes when we're performing in a game. A coach will come in and say, "Hey, I need you to do this," and you have to be able to change and mold and that those are some of the same things that you have to be able to do as a stunt performer. So
Right.
because I kind of had that ingrained in me, it was easy. I was very teachable. So it was easy for
Gotcha.
people to teach me how to do things and me to pick it up quickly. Even if I didn't quite understand it, I can kind of get it in my body and do it and then learn it later kind
Right.
of thing. So,
That's
So
awesome.
impressive.
That is
Yeah.
Yeah.
very impressive, because it takes me forever to learn anything simple.
Yeah,
So
no,
oh my God, I
in
can't even
stunts,
imagine.
that's really what we do. We are problem solvers, because there's issues that come up all the time, and we still have to do the stunt. We still have to make it work, right? And
Right.
regardless of what issues come up, we have to be able to overcome those issues and give the stunt coordinator and the director exactly what they want. So
Right. Well,
Were
that's
you
very
fami-
impressive.
Yeah, definitely very impressive.
Yeah.
Were you familiar with the show at all before you appeared on a stunt?
no, I'd have to say most of the shows I'm on, I'm not familiar with. Before I get on, a lot of times, I don't even know what the show is.
Really?
Oh, wow.
That they'll be hiring me on. Yeah, a lot of times they'll have a different name, and you show up and you're like, oh shoot, wait a minute, is this the show that I'm doing? Okay. Or they'll, or that, they'll have an alias. So you won't even know what you're doing until they change the name of the show. And you're like, oh, that's
Oh,
what this
yeah.
show is. Or
Okay.
you'll see the
Yeah.
actors, because it's a lot of times like they became very secretive maybe 5 or 6 years ago where they started like sending out different names of shows. Usually you'd know the name, but next thing you know, they're like, okay, they make up some crazy name. Like I just finished a show. I don't even know if I can say it. I just finished a show. They called it one thing, and when we got there, they revealed the true name of the show. And I
Oh,
think it was
wow.
because they don't want other people to know that they're
Yeah.
filming it, to
Right.
try to keep it
Yes.
secretive. A lot of times when I do like big shows like Jumanji, like they'll have us all covered up, and we have to sign all sorts of NDAs. And sometimes you just don't really know. Sometimes you just know the action that you're
Right.
doing, but you
Right.
might not know for what show it is.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be so interesting where it's like, hey, I need you to do a
Yeah.
high fall for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's the stunt. And then you show up and you're like, oh, and dinosaurs are chasing you. 'Cause
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
Jurassic World
well,
3.
no,
Oh.
but that is actually how it happens.
Right.
Like exactly what you just said. Yeah, we need you to do a high fall. You go with the high fall, it's going to be 40 feet. Okay, great. Okay, great. So now you're jumping, you're going to have a little girl in your hand, and now you're going to get shot. Now you're going to have to
Uh-oh.
jump backwards. You're going to have to do a flip with her. Make sure you hold on to her. Don't get caught. It's
Yeah.
like-
Oh, wow. My gosh.
yeah, they'll tell you the basics, but they sometimes don't go into the details unless it's super challenging or
Mhm.
safety is really an issue, or
Right.
it's such a hardcore stunt. They need to make sure that you're okay with it, or that you can actually do it.
Right.
Then they definitely go into detail. When it comes
Gotcha.
down to that. Like I was last week picked to do a show where I was going to have to slide a tow truck. Well, I've never slid a tow truck before. And then they finally was like, oh yeah, can you slide a tow truck? Well, I've never done that before. I mean, I've slid a Suburban before. Well, it's not going to be that hard. And then like a week later, okay, so yes, you're going to do a 90, you're going to do a flying 90, which is kind of like drifting around the corner a little bit. You're gonna,
Oh my
we're
God.
going to need you to do a 180 from a stop, which is a drift, and then a 180 from a slide. And I was like, okay, great.
It's like, what's happening here?
Like, I'm going to start training for that right now that you told me exactly what I'm about to do.
Yeah. Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, it
That's
gets
wild.
very detail oriented as time goes on
Mhm.
sometimes.
I bet.
So you have stunt doubled for some of the biggest stars in film and TV, including Pam Grier, Angela Bassett, Laverne Cox, and Zendaya. Did you work with these actresses to match their movements and mannerisms?
Oh, well, yeah, that's what we have to do no matter what. We don't necessarily work. We don't always get the opportunity to work with the actors prior to shooting.
Mhm.
Sometimes most of the time we get on set, they say the actors will go out and kind of do the scene without the action.
Mhm.
And they'll give us that opportunity right then and there to look to see as they're rehearsing,
Wow.
look to see how they're walking, their movement, what they're doing. And then we have to incorporate everything that makes up that actor. We have to then become that person. So
Mhm.
to me, we are the real actors on set, because not only are we doing the action, but when we're doubling someone, we have to then take on that character's action and become that character at the same time, as well as doing the action.
Wow.
Mhm.
So
I
what
can
we do
imagine.
to me is way harder.
Gotcha.
And no disrespect to actors, I love them 100%, but we get the fun part. We get to do the action, but then we
Right.
also have to become them. So
Right.
we're doubly acting the whole time.
Right.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
though we're doubly acting. I just made that up. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there you
I like
go.
it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but what would a typical day for you be like?
I got so excited I knocked out my
Not a problem at all. What would a typical day like for you on set be?
Oh, so I always get there about an hour and a half early.
Mhm.
I always try to eat. I always try to relax. I always try to get my clothes early. I'm a person that I like to solve issues before they happen.
Mhm.
So I'm
Mhm.
always one step ahead, right? So I'm always
Right.
there early. I'm always trying to see what's going on. I always find out where the wardrobe trailer is. That's my first place, just in case when I'm putting on my wardrobe and it doesn't fit.
Right.
And if they need me to hurry, I already have. I normally go ahead and get another pair of pants and a second outfit when I get there. That's bigger, just in case I try to get my clothes on with my pads and they don't fit. I don't
Right.
want to be in a rush.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I always do that first. I always get another outfit. And then I'll go to hair and makeup. A lot of times my hair and makeup will take a little bit longer because most actresses don't have this color hair and I'm in wigs and all that kind of stuff. So I have to go through all of that. And then we're invited onto set. And then while I'm doing my hair and makeup, I actually go through the sides to see what I'm doing and where I am in line of things. So I kind of know the order of how things are being shot. And so then I can prepare and be ready and know, do I need to put my pads on now? Can I put some of my pads on now? Will I have time to put them on later? So I'm always trying to figure that aspect out because things can change and they can call you in and if you don't have your pads on or somewhat ready with pads, then now you're doing your stunt without pads.
Right.
So you always try to prep for that. And then I'm there and I'm hurrying up and I'm waiting. The old military.
Oh yeah.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. So then I'm there. I'm attentive. I'm alert. I'm seeing what's going on. I'm seeing what the coordinator needs. I'm seeing if there's anything that I can do to assist him. I'm looking at my actress at all times because I'm learning her mannerisms at this time. I'm learning how she's walking. I'm learning what hand she's using to do how her steps are, if she has a little shift in her walk, all of those things. Because sometimes they might say to stand in for my actor and deliver her lines sometimes. So I'll always sometimes look at her lines too, just in case, because you just never know. The more you're needed on the set and the more producers and directors and coordinators are comfortable with you, the more they will use you for certain things, for specific things. Like I just got called in not too long ago because my actress was having some issues with their family and they knew she wasn't going to be there the next day. So they wanted me to come in, learn her lines, do all of her action the next day for her while she left set. So I didn't have any stunts. I literally was there being my actress for the day, delivering her lines to the other actors, all that kind of stuff. So, responsibilities can change, but so I'm really in learning mode once I get on set. And then I'm also in ready mode once I get on set. So I'm staying by the coordinator, I'm staying by the stunt team, following the action, and I'm literally waiting for the coach to put me in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
Wow.
I'm ready to go.
Nice.
And I'm learning everything. I'm safetying all the other stunt people who are doing their jobs. Making sure like if other girls are on wires, making sure they're okay. Like I'm there to help and to facilitate the action of the show in whatever regards that is. As a stunt performer, it's my job to make sure that the stunt coordinator has everything that he needs and that I'm there for him at every given moment. So I have multiple hats on when I'm at work. Like I'm also doing my stunt, I'm working with my actress, but I'm also making sure that the other stunt players are okay. And I'm also making sure that my coordinator's okay. And I'm also making sure that if the producer needs my coordinator and the coordinator doesn't know that I can I can just facilitate and just make sure that everything is running smooth. So that's my job as a stunt performer.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's much more in depth than maybe you would think because there's just so many moving parts and stuff going on. It's so cool.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, but that's only because I've been in the industry for 12 years. Like if I was a brand new stunt performer, I definitely would not be having all those things in my mind. I'd just be standing there at attention waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
But because I have been in the industry and I kind of know what the stunt coordinators need and I do a little bit of stunt coordinating on my own and I just I know what it takes to kind of make sure everything runs smooth, then my job is way more than that, right? I've been in the business for a longer time. So I got to make sure that the stunt coordinator is okay. I got to make sure that the other stunt performers are okay. Got to make sure that the other actors are safe, that they're not in danger, that the other background performers are safe. They're not in danger. But I also have to do that and be in lines like sight for the coordinator, because if he happens to turn his head, I want him to see me.
Mhm.
So I'm just busy running around. I'm here.
Right.
Nope. I'm over here. Okay. What do you need? You need that? Okay, I got it.
I got you.
Yeah.
You definitely sound like quite the asset to have on a set.
Absolutely, you
You
do. Yeah.
want to be an asset, and
Mhm.
people learned that really when COVID was happening, because when
Mm.
COVID hit and they could only take a certain amount of performers, well, those performers had to be everything. They had to know how to rig, they had to know how to fly, they had to know how to fight, they had to know how to drive, because they could only have a certain amount of people on set,
Right.
right? At a certain
Mhm.
time. So in order to get hired those days, you had to pretty much be valuable in every aspect of stunt performing so
Right.
that they could actually bring you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
absolutely.
sense.
You're credited for utility stunts on
Mhm.
projects like Pretty Little Liars and How to Get Away with Murder. What does utility stunts refer to?
I don't know what they prefer. No. Utility stunts are stunt performers who act on screen but have no specific roles. That's what the definition of utility stunt
Oh.
means.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes those contracts are wrong because they're not wrong. Let me not say that. Sometimes you get certain contracts, and if I don't check the contracts, so for instance, on How to Get Away with Murder, I actually doubled. I wasn't utilities, but it wasn't a real doubling job in the sense of I doubled. I forgot who the woman is on How to Get Away with Murder. I'm sorry, I doubled so many actresses. I don't remember her name. Viola Davis, I think it
Viola
is.
Davis.
Viola
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not really her stunt double, but she had a stunt where this is all I did for her. She had to trip someone. She was behind bars. She had to stick her hand out and trip someone going by,
Mhm.
and they didn't
Mhm.
want to use her arm because
Oh.
if if the stunt performer or actor stepped on her hand or hit it
Right.
wrong or whatever was going
Oh.
to, so they put me in that position, and instead of giving me a stunt double credit because I wasn't really stunt doubling her, they
Mhm.
gave me a utility credit.
Gotcha.
Oh.
So I'm doing
Gotcha.
action, but there's no real definition behind it.
Gotcha.
So to speak.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So utilities could be like a safety position.
Okay.
So say
Okay.
you have safety divers, or you have like diving or people in water need to hire stunt people who are safety divers. Well,
Gotcha.
sometimes they'll get a utility contract,
Gotcha.
Okay.
if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
they're doing
Interesting, yeah.
action on set, but it's not a really like a specific role. Like ND is nondescript, but it's sometimes more of a specific role. Like when I did Obi-Wan Kenobi, they hired a bunch of us and we had a title. We
Mhm.
were some type of group name.
I
don't know
gotcha.
what it was.
Mhm.
So that is a nondescript stunt because we were actually a group of people on a ship and we
Mhm.
were doing action, but it wasn't utility. You saw us actually fighting and doing all this stuff. It wasn't just like a safety or,
Gotcha.
Oh.
if that makes
I
sense.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting and
Mhm.
and something cool to learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So on Teen Wolf, you doubled for Megan Tandy, but you
Mhm.
also doubled for another Teen Wolf alum, Felicia Trail, on Shooter. How
Which
would
I
you?
had no idea, by the way.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes. I bet.
I didn't know
bet.
until you told me that. So you sent me that.
Hey, no,
Wow.
it's we got Teen Wolf alum everywhere.
That's
Oh, yeah.
cool because once I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that was her. But I had no idea
Right.
when I actually doubled her. Yeah.
Absolutely. How would you compare to working on a show like Shooter to Teen?
They're all different. There's really no comparison because remember, it's a different crew,
Mhm.
a different surroundings, different coordinator.
Right.
So everything is different. There's no real comparison. The only comparison is that I did stunts.
Gotcha. Okay.
To be honest with you, the
Fair enough.
actresses are different. The relationships that you build are different. Everything is different. Yeah.
All
So there
right.
isn't really a comparison. It's just I did a stunt here and I did a stunt. I did a stunt there.
Gotcha. All right. Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Oh, I hope so. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
It was fun. And let me take that back. So if I had to really do a deep dive, I think they were different in the sense of the anxiety level and the stress level that came with the action.
Mhm.
So maybe I can break it down a little bit more from that standpoint. Um, from the Teen Wolf, I was brand new at riding motorcycles, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
my stress level was a little bit different.
Mhm.
However, on Shooter, there was a couple different scenes where the fighting wasn't as difficult, but there was one car scene that I had to do doubling her that might have been similar stress wise as the same as Teen Wolf,
Right.
because the stress level was the same. And one was in a car vehicle and one was on a motorcycle. With Teen Wolf, it was coming to the edge of a cliff, but with the car scene in Shooter, it was me almost T-boning an armored truck, or an armored truck almost T-boning me. One of
Gotcha.
those things. And so
Right.
we had to get this close to each other. Like,
Oh, wow.
Oh,
it was, yeah, it was, oh, that's what it was. I was driving and I had to stop at a certain point, and the armored truck had to come to the side of me, and we had to hit a certain mark here
Oh, wow.
to where it looked like he almost T-boned me.
Right.
And so hitting that mark was, especially because they're coming fast. So that the person that they put behind that wheel was an OG stunt guy, because he had to hit his mark and make sure not to T-bone me.
Right.
And I had to hit my mark to make sure I got in the right place so it would look like he did T-bone me. So
Right.
it was just one of those things where if he didn't hit his mark, he would have actually hit me.
Oh
Gotcha.
God.
God, that sounds so nerve wracking.
Yeah, that sounds
Really high
awful.
pressure.
Yeah, so it was similar stress and pressure from that regard,
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I can those are more the similarities there.
Gotcha. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
For Shazam Fury of the Gods, you're credited as a stunt rigger. What does that
Mhm.
job entail?
So rigging is beautiful. I love it.
Mm.
So anytime you see someone flying through the air, like especially in Shazam, or on some of the Marvel and DC shows where they're fighting and you see people like bouncing off walls and doing flips and getting blown up and all that kind of stuff. Well, you have to be put on wires for that to happen. So rigging is the team that comes in and sets up everything so that all that action can happen. So we'll set up
Okay.
different truss, different wires, different pulley systems that you would connect to the stunt performers so that they can fly. So when Shazam has to fly from one place to the next, well, we will rig a system that is attached to him that will allow him to fly or fight in the air, or
That's
up
cool.
walls, or
Right.
fall off a bus or off a building. So those are
okay.
that's not CG. We normally have them attached to a wire, and we're actually hand pulling or doing a ratchet, and which is sending their momentum through the air.
Gotcha. That's so cool.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
so
amazing.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
So much
come in
better
and
than
we set up.
CGI.
Yeah.
Oh my
So much
God,
better when
yes.
you
Ugh.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
much
that was
better.
one of the reasons they called us in, because I was on the second team of Shazam. So they had already shot the show, but they were complaining that it was too much CGI and they needed more realness. So that's why they brought in the rigging team. And we came in and we actually did everything that they wanted to do in CGI. We actually made it real.
Nice.
And in order to
That's
do that, we
incredible.
had to rig a system that we can connect the actors to that will
Right.
allow them to do those things. So
That's
that's what the
awesome.
rigging is.
Yeah.
Oh, so
And it's
cool.
so satisfying as a viewer when you're
Oh,
watching something and you can tell that someone really did that. It's
does
just
it?
like,
Oh my
yes.
gosh. And I don't
Yeah,
know
such a
why
difference.
production and why, like, I don't know why people think CGI is this great. I mean, it's good for some things, but when you can start to tell that it's not real, then it just ruins the whole thing. So
could not
Right.
agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
100%. 100%.
We've talked a little bit about some of the car and motorcycle stunts that you've done. You've also been credited for boat stunts.
Oh,
What
yeah,
was that
absolutely.
like?
That was amazing because I did not know how. So remember, I told you I was an athlete and I can learn very quickly. So I'll tell you how that was set up. So when I got hired for the Purge 2 on the motorcycle, one of the guys that I trained, well, I actually trained with some of the top guys in the world. I have to give them their flowers. They trained me and they knew that I was a fast learner. One guy in particular, his name was Clay Cullen. He's also a boat guy. So for Baywatch, they needed someone to double Ilfanesh Hadera, and we look similar, but she is driving the boat on Baywatch. So they called me
Oh.
and they say, Alima, can you drive a boat? I say, no. They go, you're hired. I'm like,
That's
like,
awesome.
awesome. They're like, we have 2 requests that you get in a boat before you come here and just get a feel for it. Mind you, I'm living in New York at this moment, so I'm trying to figure out how the heck I'm gonna do that. But I'm like, okay, done. Second thing is we have to dye your hair black, but we're gonna take care of that. We're gonna have someone do that for you. So we're gonna find a salon. You're in New York. We're gonna find a salon. We're gonna book you an appointment. Go to the salon. Okay, done. So I call Maritime. So weird. This is what you do when you're in stunts and you're desperate. I literally called Maritime up in New York and I asked them if I can come and if someone can take me through a lesson on a boat. And they freaking agreed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's
so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
So I literally go to where they train people how to fight in wars. and they, for $500, they literally take me out on a boat and give me a breakdown of the boat and how it works and how to drive it. And so they fly me to Georgia literally 2 days later, and they spend Clay Cullen, who actually helped me with the bikes, is the guy who's training me for the boat. And he's like, yeah,
Aw.
Lima, I knew that you would be able to pick it up. So that's how I got hired. He literally said, yes, I've taught her before. She will be able to learn this. So they trusted that I would be able to pick this up. So they brought me in a weekend earlier, not even a week. They brought me in a weekend earlier. They teach me how to drive a boat. And then come Monday, here we are, Baywatch, and I'm driving Rescue 1 and I'm doing 90s, I'm doing a near miss, I'm doing 180s, I'm doing all this stuff in a boat that I literally just learned how to drive like 2 days prior.
Oh, wow.
But
That is
Wow.
because I
crazy.
picked stuff up and they believed that I can do it, they actually gave me a shot.
Well, that's fantastic. That's
that's
really
incredible.
fantastic that
Yeah.
they know they have an idea of your current skill set, but then they're like, I bet she could learn this. Like we think
Absolutely.
she
Well, they
can do
felt
this.
confident in me
On a
that I
dime,
could do it,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which was a lot of confidence because listen, when you remember when I told you how they make something that should be simple into something
Mhm.
really difficult? Well, this
Mhm.
stunt turned into one of the most difficult stunts I've ever done in a sense of safety wise,
Mhm.
right? So this stunt is me doing a near miss with the actor in the water from someone who just learned how to drive a boat, right? I'm also then having to come in hot, stop the boat. Boats don't have brakes. Okay?
Right.
They do not.
No, they do not. But I'm having to stop on a mark with a boat that doesn't have a brake. Okay. I'm having to do 180s in my boat and use my wake to put out the fire in the other boat.
Oh my God.
I have
That's
all
insane.
the actors on my boat. So remember, when I'm learning to drive a boat, there's no one on it. Now I have
Right.
30 people, including the director, because they're filming over my shoulder. This
Oh my
wasn't
God.
just a zone,
Right. A drone shot.
drone. I thought
Yeah.
zone. It doesn't even sound right. I can't think of it. It wasn't just a drone shot. They're literally on my boat. I'm in a bikini, and I
Oh
have
my God.
all
God.
the stunt guys behind me like this, like sitting on the end of the boat with their, and I'm literally having to do all of this with safety divers and propane lines underneath my boat. That if I were to actually run over, I would blow the whole setup and kill everybody. You
Oh my
know?
God.
So like, yeah,
Insane.
it became like really like challenging in that sense of like, okay, it's not just about getting the stunt, which is stunts anyway. It's really about safety, right?
Right,
So now I
right.
have all these people in my boat. I just learned how to drive a boat. There's safety divers in the water. I have to do a near miss with the actor. I have to do 180s and put out the fire of another boat with my wake while everyone's in my boat. And I really did a great job, to be honest, because they kept giving me more and more challenging things to do, to the point that Clay at one point was like, no, she's done.
Oh.
Not give her
Wow.
any more. Like, it got to the point that my last stunt, Clay was like, I'm going to hide myself in here just in case you need me. So he literally got in my boat and tucked himself because he's like, if you need me, I'm here. Like, I just want you to know that I'm in the boat with you, because it just started to get more and more
Yeah.
challenging because I was able to do certain things. And that's a lot of times that's what happens. It's like the director's like, oh, she can do this. Okay, yeah, well then let's have her do this. Oh shoot, she did that. Okay, well, do you think she can do? And so then it just gets harder and harder and harder.
Right.
And Clay was like, no, this is it, you know? So it was really
Well-
good to have someone there to be there with me.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
To
For
speak
sure.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I can imagine that kind of pressure.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
Me neither. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're credited as the stunt coordinator for an episode of Here and Now. What was that
Yes.
experience like compared to working as a stunt performer?
You know, it was amazing because it was really my stunt coordinating job, and it was by mistake. Well, it wasn't by mistake. It was Matt Taylor, who is one of my favorite. He called me the night before. He goes, Alima, I can't make it tomorrow. He goes, I'm going to need for you to fill in for me. And I was like, yes. And I didn't think, when he asked me to fill in, I didn't even think I was going to get credit. But then when I showed up, they actually had my name on the call sheet as Alima Dorsey
awesome.
stunt coordinator.
Nice.
Oh,
So I
That's-
was like,
that's
yo,
so
I'm
fun.
legit a freaking
Yeah.
stunt coordinator right now. And I had to come in and I had to be a stunt coordinator. And that was out without any training, without any knowledge, without anything. But he trusted in me enough to be like, Alima, I'm going to put you in charge, So I'm going
Right.
to give you the show for the day. And again, I just thought I was filling in. I didn't even really know that I was going to be the actual stunt coordinator for that day, because when you fill in, I filled in for other coordinators before, but
Mhm.
they never had me as a stunt coordinator, so I never posted it as a stunt
Right.
coordinator.
Right.
Yeah.
But this actually, it was actually for real and legit, and I was like, oh my God, like this is actually like a real credit. So that was my first stunt coordinating job, and I've done some since then, but that was different because I had known nothing about it. I'd maybe been in the industry for a couple years, and here's a coordinator actually letting me take over one of his shows, like
Yeah.
for real, for real. So
Yeah.
that was fun. I had a couple people come and hustle me for the day, because I don't know if you know, but that's how we kind of get our job. Is we have to kind of show up on set and try to meet the coordinators and
Mhm.
introduce
Mhm.
ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So I got a chance to experience everything. I got a chance to experience talking to the, directors, actually making sure that my stunt people were okay and safe, and, actually interview other stunt performers that wanted a job. And so it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
That's
I loved
awesome.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
like a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
it was. I've grown so much as just a person being a stunt performer, because, man, you get thrown into just so many different things that you just have to, if you're not ready for, you get ready,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
get
Sounds
ready
like
real
it.
quick.
You did stunts for the video game, The Last of Us Left Behind. What was that like? And how did it compare to doing stunts for film and TV?
So I've done 1 and 2 of The Last of Us. So 1 was different from 2 because I think with 1 there was more than just myself there, but on the second one, this was interesting than all the other things I've done, because I was the only stunt performer there to perform that day. And I had
Wow.
270 something shots that I did just on my own.
Oh wow.
My
I
God.
had
Wow.
blisters on my feet by the end of the day. I could hardly walk in my shoes. I mean, it was super challenging because I had to get all that action on my own by myself. And it was just take after take after take. And so it was a different experience, because when I'm on set, you stand by, you watch the actors, you go to lunch, you have your break. You never normally work from beginning to end.
Right.
Well, that day I literally started at 8 and ended at 5, and all I got was a lunch break, and I
Oh,
did
wow.
every single take on my own. So that
That's
was
wild.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
challenging, very wild, because everything is very precise. You have all these dots. You have to look a certain way. The movement is specific
Mhm.
to the character, to what they're doing and what they want, and it's over and over and over, and then you do it that way, and then that way, and then that, so it's very tedious. It's very monotonous. It's just, but it's very consistent. So it was fun. It hurt. My feet hurt. My boobs, but
Wow.
Wow. it was really cool to be the only one that they could depend on,
Wow.
and you are it. You are the talent. So
Right.
that was
That's
Yeah, it
very
definitely
cool.
sounds like you
Yeah.
flourish
Yeah.
under the
Yeah,
pressure
absolutely.
of it all.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Because I'm always nervous. I'm always scared until it starts, and
Right.
then it goes away, and you just get into another zone, and it's like, okay, let's make this happen.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is your favorite stunt that you've performed in your career so far?
It's a tricky question. I don't really have a favorite stunt, to be honest with you, because it's always for me about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Because a lot of times when you go on these shows for long periods of time, it's hard. It's really difficult. And you could be doing a stunt that could have been your favorite, but because you've been there so long and there's so many other things that are going on, and it's so stressful that all of a sudden it's not your favorite stunt anymore. You just want to get it done. So for me, it's all about the experiences that I can have on shows. And for me, stunts really isn't about filming it on the day.
Mhm.
What makes a stunt amazing for me is training for it and prepping for the
Okay.
stunt, to be
Gotcha.
honest with you,
Okay.
because that's where the happiness lies. That's where it's fun. That's where, everything that you have on your bucket list, I do on a daily basis, right?
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good way of
putting
that, yeah.
Yeah.
no, right? So like I go and drift cars all day long,
Mhm.
right? So that's fun. Drifting it on set isn't as fun because now you got the stress and the pressure of doing it right and not hurting anyone and making sure you do it perfect. And,
Right.
so drifting is probably one of my most favorite things to do, not on set.
Gotcha. Yes.
Like I just got to plug in my computer, not on set. So I would say sometimes my car stunts are super fun.
Right.
Sometimes my wire gags are amazing, especially when you're prepping for that. You get to go and get on wires all day. Sometimes fighting is awesome, but actually filming it is not that great.
Right.
That's
Right.
when you're in work mode.
Right.
Mhm.
But prepping for it, that's where the fun and the joy comes
Nice.
in
Very
of
nice.
stunts. Just to be honest, if I'm gonna go rappel, you know, rappelling on set is great, but going to Zuma on the weekend or during the week and rappelling with your friends and practicing different things and almost falling and like, oh shoot, I'm okay, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the joy. That's the fun. So I would say on set, my favorite stunt would probably have been Jumanji,
Mhm.
because the group of people that I was fighting with and just the camaraderie that we had, like on and off set, and just all the fun and the dancing and the laughing and picking at people while they're falling asleep in between cuts and and then watching an OG guy do this amazing like stunt that you think he's way too old to do, and then all of a sudden he throws this backflip and you're like, you still got it. That's what makes a stunt fun. Like
Nice.
little things like that. What makes a stunt great to me is actually coming out okay.
Mhm.
Like, oh
Yeah.
God, I'm alive. Okay, that was great. Love that stunt. Or okay, I'm not. My bones aren't broken. Okay, we can do it again. Kind of thing. So that to me makes I'm happy when I do stunts and I'm actually not hurt.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can actually do them again.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it becomes okay. I like this stunt. Like I could do this. I'm not gonna break anything. It's all right. So yeah, my thought process of what makes a stunt my favorite is really different. It's
Gotcha.
what I have to by prepping for a stunt actually is what would make it and put it in a certain category, right? So
That's
when I was
cool.
prepping for the tow truck gag, I got a chance to go train with one of the top truck stunt guys in the industry up in his property. He has like 50 acres and he's having me throw 90s in the middle of a street. And he's having me go up to the top of his property and he has all this gravel that the rain has washed away off the side of the cliff. And then he takes me up there and he starts like drifting trucks. Like as we're almost like about to fall off, like a back tire is about to fall off the back of the cliff, but we don't die. He makes it. Like
Yeah.
that
That's
was
awesome.
fun.
That's so
That
cool.
was fun. That
That's so
was cool.
cool.
So actually doing the stunt doesn't compare to practicing for the stunt.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Mhm.
That's so cool. That's very
it's really cool. It's really a lifestyle, you know, filming. This is going to be really explicit, so please forgive me. I can't help it, but it's almost like being a crackhead, right? It's like, it's like, you know, filming the stunt pays for the habit. If that
Oh,
makes
right.
sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I
Right?
see. Yeah.
Right. So it's like actually like we're crackheads. Like we love freaking doing crazy stuff. You know, we do stuff all day. When we have to do it on set, it actually pays for us to keep doing it offset and learning how
Gotcha.
to do it better and having the fun that we love. Because it's our lifestyle. It's what we love to do. Like we love to go fight. We don't necessarily care about fighting on film. We like to fight on film because it pays for us to fight often.
Right. Exactly. That's cool. Makes sense. Makes sense.
I know. I know. I don't know. My mom was like, "You must have been like, Leva, you've never done crack. Why do you always reference crack?" I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm a crackhead I'm a crackhead stunt performer. What can I say?
What can you say?
I am a huge fan of Birds of Prey. What was that set like?
It was fun. It was wonderful. You know, it's really it's interesting you ask these questions because we get so used to the environment that we're in. So they're not that big of a deal to us, right? You
Sure.
know, like we're on set with people that other people think are so cool that we even think are cool. But
Mhm.
to me, I'm cooler than the people that I'm on set with, you know, like, you know, people are like, "Oh, how did you like working with Leslie Jones?" I don't know. I'm like, why don't you ask Leslie Jones how she liked working with me? I just made that name. I just made that. You know, it's like I just made that up because I was just supposed to double her last week. But you know, that's the mentality. It's like it's wonderful, it's great, but it's our job. And we're used
Right.
to being around the people that we're around all the time. And we don't really I don't get starstruck. I don't have time to get starstruck, right? Because my job is all about safety and performing and making sure that I make this person look good. So the last thing I'm doing is being like, "Oh my God, it's such and such." I'm like, "Oh shoot. Okay, what do I need?" You know, I'm trying to prep for my work, my job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being on set with everyone is great. It's not a big deal. It's fun for me because of the action that I'm about to do, not necessarily who I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't even get a chance to really have that much dialogue. It kind of depends on the actress. Like if I'm doubling someone, it kind of depends on what we're doing. If we even get a chance to really bond or build a relationship, or even if we've gotten a chance to meet before, sometimes we don't get a chance to meet them until on the day. So the environment, the people make up the environment. And as long as the environment is good and happy, you don't necessarily care too much about who the people
I got you.
are,
Yeah,
if that
gotcha.
makes sense. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, with that in mind, and then also, like, you know, how you said you mostly just do the stunts so that you can then have fun on your off days practicing for
My
them.
crackhead.
Yeah. But is there any show, past or present, that you'd really love to be a part of for stunts?
Oh man, if another Fast and Furious comes along, I would love to be in one of those one day. You know, because
Nice.
Yeah.
you know, I'm a driver, but there's different levels of driving, right? So when you get asked to be on Fast and Furious or a show like that, that's when you know you've made it. Like that's when
Oh, okay.
that's when you know they respect your driving, so to speak, you know, because you're
Yeah.
driving
Nice.
with some of the best. So yeah, I mean, shows like that would be great. I just want to work. You know, to be honest with you. Oh, okay. So they're filming Lioness right now, and I wish Wade Allen would hire me for that because that's one of my favorite shows right now that I've
Nice.
seen in the past. So maybe that could be one. So I guess the best way to look at it is I don't look at shows like big shows that everyone else looks at and be like, oh my God, I can't wait to be a part of that show. It's got to be something else that kind of draws me to it. Like with Lioness, the storyline behind it, the acting behind it, some of the stunts behind it. I'm like, oh man, that looks like a good production to be a part of.
Right.
You know, so I come from that thought process.
Gotcha.
If I see a great fight scene, so like in the Matrix or John Wick, they have all these was it, which one did I do?
Mhm.
Matrix or not Matrix? So John Wick.
Mhm.
So like the last John Wick, they had all these freaking amazing fight scenes. And I looked at it and I didn't go, man, I wish I would have been a part of that fight scene. I looked at it and was like, oh my God, those fighters were amazing. So
Mm.
it wasn't like, I can't wait to be a part of that next time. It was just more of an appreciation of what the current stunt performers have actually done and to
Sure.
give them their flowers. Because
Nice.
that's the thing. When we do a stunt, it doesn't matter if you're doing a low budget film or if you're doing a blockbuster film. The stunts are relative. You still got to get the stunt done. And you can make the stunt look just as good in a low budget as they sometimes do in a blockbuster, right? Because it's actually you doing the stunt. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily compare or say I want to be a part of that team because some of the things that they just did in that show, I literally just did in a different show.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm. If
Right.
If that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense, right? It
Right.
might not
Oh, yeah,
be as big on such a bigger level, but I just did a 90 on a show, on a different show. It might not have been Fast and Furious, but I just did the same technique. I just did the same stunt. So you get the same like gratifying feeling of completion, right?
Right.
Mhm.
It might not be on a bigger level, but it's something that I still just did. So therefore, there's no real like, I can't wait to be on that show. Because a lot of
Mm.
times, some of the things that they're doing on that show, I'm doing someplace else. It's just
Mhm.
maybe on a different scale.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. We're just happy to work, whether it's on,
Oh, yeah.
fighting on Black Panther or fighting on Jumanji or fighting on 911. It doesn't matter. A fight is a fight is a fight. And
Right.
the fight
Yeah.
it's gonna depend on what's called for the action of the show. Because no matter
Right.
what we do, we have to do what they wrote, right?
Right. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
as long as we complete that and they're happy, the same adrenaline that you get from that show will be the exact same adrenaline that you would get on, say, a Fast and Furious or
Nice.
something of that nature because you're completing it and you did it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
I didn't think
nice.
about it
Crack is
like that, but
Yeah,
that
me
makes
either.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
makes complete sense.
Yeah, it really depends on just who you're around. It's really about the people and the environment and the experience because stunts are done on every film and television. You have to have some kind of a stunt, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
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 If you could be any Teen Wolf creature, what would you want to be?
Oh gosh, see, you're gonna be so mad at me when I tell you I don't know the creatures on Teen Wolf.
Fair.
I just
Fair.
come in.
Hey, no worries.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
Oh, hey,
sorry.
not a problem.
I
That is
really,
not a problem.
I'm really sorry. I've done so many shows, and a lot of times I don't even know what the name of the character that I'm doing until I get on set
Right.
and I
Mhm.
see it, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Who's that? I've never seen the show, So
Right.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
No problem.
Not a problem.
Who on the Teen Wolf set, cast or crew, would make the best alpha?
But you also want to pass on this one. That's fair.
That's
Yes.
very fair.
What's an alpha?
It's the leader of the pack.
The lead werewolf,
the
like
leader.
the big
Oh my
werewolf of
God,
the pack.
I didn't even really know there were werewolves on Teen Wolf. 'Cause
Not a
I
problem.
didn't have to do that. So
Sure.
on Teen Wolf, I drove a motorcycle and I rode
Right.
on the back of an ambulance. And I think I also got shot off of no, that was Pretty Little Liars. Yeah, so nothing I did involved an actual werewolf.
Sure.
It was probably the
Hey.
character before they went into that, if they
Right.
transformed.
Well, the character you did double for was a human.
See,
A human bounty hunter.
yeah.
So it makes complete sense.
Yeah, so
Makes
I didn't
complete
even
sense.
know, and I've never watched it because a lot of shows that I do, I really don't end up even having the time to watch, even after I film the
Yeah.
show.
Mhm.
You're
And if I
busy. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you're busy.
Well, and it'll come on, and I will maybe like skim through just to get to my action to see
Right.
if it's worthy of me putting on a reel or
Oh,
not.
okay.
And if it's not, then I just move on to the next. I normally don't even take the time to look at the show itself.
Okay.
I'll just like fast forward to where I am in the show
Mhm.
Fair.
and then just look at my action. So I know it's pretty.
Complete.
That's
That's
what happens
completely
after
fair.
12 years. I think
Hey.
that in the first couple years I maybe looked at it, but now I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot I did such and such 3 months ago. I probably need to post on it. Let me run to my action and see, okay, yeah, that wasn't that good. Let's go to the next.
Gotcha.
Have does your reel include anything from Teen Wolf? Do you know
It
off
used
the
to.
top?
When I first got into the industry, I definitely had Teen Wolf on there. And I think, honestly, in my driving reel, I still have the motorcycle sequence
Oh,
in there as
Makes
well.
sense because
So-
it was cool.
Yeah, it's
So-
cool.
Very cool.
And it's so funny. I didn't even put the stunt action of the motorcycle sequence. I put the part of me driving away and then panning out because I think that's how I ended.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's how I ended my
Nice.
reel or something like that. So I
That's
didn't even
very
put
cool.
the actual stunt on there. I just put
Oh,
me
wow.
driving away from the
Still badass. Still badass. Well, speaking of you being busy, are there any upcoming projects you can tell us about?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I could. Well, okay, so Beverly Hills Cop 4 is coming out. I'm in that.
Nice.
That's gonna be
Okay,
Very
amazing.
nice.
so cool.
Yeah, no, there's actually a lot of shows, especially TV shows that I've done. There's a movie, I don't know when that's coming out, but I can't tell the name of that one, so I can't say
Mm.
that one. I'm currently filming a lot of like 911 and a lot of 911 Lone Star. So
Nice.
you'll probably see
Okay.
me in any of those episodes currently right now.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I do have, if you want, can I grab my resume?
Sure.
Because I have
Oh,
it on
yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
just don't know it offhand. So just
That's not a
give me 1
problem.
second.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
let
no
you
problem.
know.
Yeah, no worries.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. So it's a shame when I don't remember everything you've done. Okay. So yeah, so the only movie, well, I got 2 movies coming out, Beverly Hills Cop, and then the other one, if I can say anything. I don't know
We
if I
won't
can say
tell
the name of
anyone.
that one. I know, right? It's called, I think it's called Vampire of the Velvet Lounge. I
Okay.
don't know when
Sounds
that's coming
fun.
out. I know that should be fun.
Yeah.
And then all the other things that I've done have been mainly TV shows. I mean, because before that was the strike.
Right.
Mhm.
So mainly everything that I have coming out now would be Criminal Minds, 911, and 911 Lone Star, because I've been the main double on those 3 shows far
Nice.
this year.
That's
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So I've been working a lot on those shows, and then my movies I did were before the strike. I haven't done a movie yet. Have I done a movie?
Gotcha. All
Have I
right.
done a- No, I have not done a movie yet this year.
Nice. Well, we're just
Yeah.
very happy that you're staying busy. So
Yes.
that is
Sounds very busy.
Yeah, it sounds very busy. If you're like, I can't even remember. I've got to read out this list because I don't
It's
I don't
so
remember.
crazy.
I'm working so
it's-
much.
I know it's sad actually.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I wish I
That's a
was so
good
busy.
problem to have.
It's
Yeah, that's
so
the
crazy. I'm like,
best
I
problem.
don't remember the shows. Let me go get my resume really quickly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alima, thank you so much for
Yes,
joining us
thank
today
you.
and getting to tell us so much about being on the stunt side of things in movies and TV. It's a side we're not as familiar with as we would
Yeah.
like to be, and I think we've learned a lot today. And
Yeah, it's
just
so
hearing all
cool.
the stories, it's so cool.
Really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate your patience. I know it
It
was
was worth it.
challenging to get this
Worth
to
it.
go, but thank you so much for just, even being interested and just wanting to know like what we do. It's interesting because we're so behind the scenes, and that's kind of how we like it. I mean, of course, we like to get our flowers, but we enjoy being behind the scenes. But it's really cool when we can kind of share kind of like what we do with people so they can just have a better understanding of it and know that we are definitely not daredevils. Like, we are definitely calculated risk takers, and
Oh
everything
yeah,
is like,
absolutely.
everything is really, really calculated and on point, and you have to really train for it, just to make sure you keep yourself safe and everyone else safe. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys just taking the time to even just want to learn more about it.
Oh well, this
Thank you
was
for telling us
yeah,
all
It's been
about it.
great.
Yeah.
our complete pleasure. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
awesome. Well, we hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will be talking soon and to let you know when the episode's coming out. Okay.
I love it. Thank you guys
All
so
right.
much. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.